and emotion have always been a big part of the Hambletonian, like the excitement of Speedbowl's win in 1982.
As the field turns for home, Jazz Cosmos shows the way. Roslyn's guy alongside, 127 and 4 3/4. Speedbowl is locked at the inside. Here comes Messerschmitt with the challenge for the lead. There's an eighth to go. Jazz Cosmos leads it. And here comes Speedbowl now. He makes his move in mid-stretch. But Jazz Cosmos is not through yet. Speedbowl attacks on the outside. One of these will be the winner of the Hamiltonian, and it's going to be Speedbowl. Speedbowl gets up in the final stride.
At age 25, Tommy Horton's win with Speedbowl made him the youngest driver to ever win the Hamiltonian. It was an emotional day for the Horton family, with the win dedicated to Tom's late brother, Peter. There's never been more emotion in the Hamiltonian than 2 years ago, when the great Stanley Dancer won with the filly Duenna.
And Duenna, with Stanley Dancer in the bike, leads the way by 2 lengths. Waterby is now second at the inside. TV Yankee is racing in third. Then it's Speedy Claude fourth. Astro Hill is fifth on the outside. And Duenna is all out to hold the lead. A host of others is closing in. Here comes the other filly. Winky's Gill on the outside. They're coming to the wire. And Duenna has won the Hamiltonian. Stanley Dancer at the line. Duenna is the winner.
What a glorious moment for the New Jersey native Stanley Dancer, winning the Hambletonian at the Meadowlands, just a few weeks after being heartbroken when his horse Dancer's Crown, a Hambletonian favorite, died. Dancer couldn't hide his emotions after taking his 4th Hambletonian. And then there was the drama of last year's race-off, won by Historic Freight.
There's an eighth to come in this Hamiltonian, and Historic Freight is put to the test now, and he's holding on by 2 lengths. Delvin G. Hanover is all out to try to catch him. 100 yards to go. Historic Freight in front and driving. Delvin G. Hanover has gone on a break, and that leaves the Hamiltonian to Historic Freight and driver Ben Webster.
2 months earlier, Historic Freight had been entered in a claiming race, but driver Ben Webster and trainer Skip Lewis made him a champion. Who will provide the excitement, drama, and emotion this year? Perhaps Master Willie, winner of the Yonkers Trot, or Canadian Classic winner Mark 6. Or it might be Prakas, who won the Beacon Course as they go in the 60th Hambletonian. And there is added excitement today as the great pacer Nihilator goes after the world record held by his sire Niatros. The 60th Hambletonian, Nihilator, and the U.S. Pacing Championship, they're all coming up next. The beautiful Hambletonian Cup, and one of 17 horses will try to put his name on that cup today. Welcome to the beautiful Meadowlands racetrack in East Rutherford, New Jersey, for the 60th Hambletonian. Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Rosen. It's a pleasure to welcome you to what we think will be a great day of harness racing here at the Meadowlands. This is the 60th Hambletonian, the 5th year it's been held here at the Meadowlands. We've got a great field. Should be a great day of racing. If there's anything big going on in harness racing, you can be sure that one of the foremost authorities of the sport will be there, Stan Bergstein. And Stan, the Hambletonian with a record purse this year, $1,272,000. It continues to grow in recognition by the fans and in stature.
In some ways, Sam, this is the most American of all horse races. The standardbred, the trotting and pacing horse, of course, is native to the United States and Canada. And more important, the sport itself is rooted deep in American history. But the world is changing. This year, the heavy favorite here for the Hambletonian, Prakas, is owned by a native of Sweden, is trained by a 24-year-old Swedish boy, is groomed and taken care of by a 22-year-old young lady from Denmark, and will be driven by a 37-year-old Canadian. So instead of having American apple pie, we're going to have Swedish smorgasbord.
And they've really had an effect on the sport, haven't they?
It has, but the changes in the sport are also very evident when you consider that 4 horses racing in today's card have won over $1 million. The total field today of all the horses racing, over $24 million.
This is the second jewel of trotting's Triple Crown, but there is more on the card today. Outstanding horses will be here. We have two outstanding horse racing people with us. Joining us, Sharon Smith and David Rovine.
Thanks, Sam. David is a prominent trainer of pacers, particularly older pacers, what he's known for, and it's appropriate that we're seeing the richest and the fastest pacers in action. Annihilator, first of all, let's talk Annihilator. His owners make no secret of it. They are going after Nihilator's all-time record. Can he do it today?
Absolutely. He's a great horse. He proved to everybody last week that he is the dominant 3-year-old pacer, and I think he can.
Annihilator looks so much like his great sire, Nihilator. We will see. That's coming up this afternoon here at the Meadowlands. Also on the road again, the all-time leading money winner among pacers, the leading standardbred money winner in North America. And this horse wins a lot of races and a lot of money. Can he be beaten? We have very good competition here today.
Well, we've done it before. We trained two top open pacers in the likes of George S. and Tough Choice. I can tell you firsthand that on the road again is a tough cookie, but we'll be going for it.
And he's a handsome horse. Looks like he's ready for the race today. They're in separate races, the richest and the fastest. Kenny Rice is also on the scene here at the Meadowlands today. He'll be traveling around the track to see what is going on. So let's go to Kenny right now with an idea of what he'll be doing. Kenny?
Thank you, Sharon. A who's who of harness racing here today for this very strong card featuring both trotters and pacers. There are present and future Hall of Famers, as well as racing enthusiasts. And throughout the day, we will be talking with them, the participants and those who are like us, here to watch and enjoy. I'll be here on the backside as well as throughout this Meadowlands complex, bringing you some of the excitement of the Hambletonian, as well as taking a look at the great racers like Nihilator and On the Road Again. Sam?
Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, everyone. We are set for an exciting day of racing here at the Meadowlands, the first heat of the Hamiltonian. 17 horses are entered in the Hamiltonian field. The first 5 finishers in the first division, the first 5 finishers in the second division will go to the second heat. A horse must win twice to be a Hamiltonian champion.
That's correct. So if there is a different winner in that when they come back, then they have to come back for another third heat race-off.
The 3 winners would meet in a race-off just as we had here last year when Historic Freight won it. We are set to go for the first heat. The first division of the first heat. 9 horses are entered in the field. Let's go to Sharon Smith for the post-parade.
There were 9 horses in Division 1 competing for 5 places. One is Workaholic. This colt from the Hakan-Wallner stable, Brent Lindstedt, the driver. He was the 2-year-old trotting colt of the year last year, Breeders' Crown winner. He's won the American National this year at Sportsman's Park. So Workaholic, one of the contenders in Division number 1 of heat number 1 of the Hambletonian. Not come back quite as strong as he was last year, but certainly a consistent colt. Number 2, Master Willie, one of the Swedish contingent from the Sara Nordin stable, Jan Nordin, the winning driver. He's almost always in the money. The Yonkers Trot winner, that means that he is the only horse that could win the trotting Triple Crown, the other legs this race, and the futurity at the Red Mile in the fall. Number 3 is Torway. This is trained and driven by Howard Weisinger, a son of Speedy Crown, a winner of the Hambletonian, as are all but one of the horses in the field this year. He's been racing in sire stakes and quite well in New York. Number 4 is Mark 6 out of the Sora Nordin stable. John Campbell, one of the great drivers of the world, the driver of this colt. He's really come on strong this year after not being particularly impressive last year. He's certainly one of the top 3-year-olds this year. Number 5, Bond Sport. Stanley Dancer, the trainer and driver. Stanley, the winner several times, of course, but most recently of Duenna, or with Duenna, the colt, a couple of years ago. So that is number 5, Bond Sport. JR's Chip, what a mystery this colt is. Son of Legend Hanover, a Hambletonian winner. He's coming out of the Midwest Fair Circuit. He has won impressively at Sportsman's Park, which is a significant track in the Midwest. A lot of people wonder if this colt is as good as his record. They're about to find out. Number 7, among the long shots, Host of Waverly. Dave Rankin, the trainer and driver of this colt. 157-4 at the Meadowlands, so he can trot pretty fast. We'll have to see how he does against some outstanding competition. Number 8 is Collector's Work, and one of his biggest credentials, George Schulte in the bike, and the trainer of this colt, George, known for getting trainers trotters rather on their gate and doing well. So George will have a chance this year with collector's work, although he will be a long shot. And number 9 is Nearly Perfect. Mickey McNichol is the driver. Joe Caroluzzi is the trainer. He's a very lightly raced colt, making only his 3rd start this year. He was not sired by a Hambletonian winner. Sonkan is his sire. Everybody else is sired by a Hambletonian winner. So Nearly Perfect among the long shots in the race. Well, the Swedes are certainly contenders this year, and Stan has got some comments about that, Stan.
Well, the Swedish connection in trotting has become a major factor in the last decade. And it started about 20 years ago when Håkan Wallner, then 25 years old, came over from Sweden to buy some horses. He came back, stayed here, liked it, and 10 years ago he started his Continental Farms racing stable and brought over associates Jan Janssen and Bernt Lindstedt. They have been terrorizing American tracks, and in 1981, Father Soren Nordin, one of the great legends of Swedish trotting, came over with his son Jan Nordin. They formed Team Nordin. Today, Workaholic will be going in his first heat of the Hamiltonian for Bernt Lindstedt driving, and Master Willie and Mark 6 will be racing for Team Nordin. They're not coupled as an Etby because they are owned by different owners. Dave Rovine.
6, JR's Chip. Bond Sport is driven by the master Stanley Dancer. JR's Chip, an outsider coming in from the Midwest. The horse has won 11 of his last 14 starts. He has speed and he has manners, but the big question here is going to be, does he have class to stay with these other horses? I talked briefly with Tom Leonard, the son of trainer Jack Leonard. He's confident. He thinks this colt can do well. We'll have to wait and see. Stanley Dancer can never be ignored in any Hamiltonian. He's actually trained and driven the winners of 4 of them already, and he's looking for his 5th in this one. His owners probably thought a lot of this colt. They paid $225,000 for this horse as a yearling. He had the strongest mile of his season in the Founders Gold Cup when he won by 5 lengths in 57-3.
Okay, and JR's Chip we're looking at. He's the mystery horse, really, out of the Midwest. So those are a couple interesting horses there. Number 5, Bond Sport. Number 6, JR's Chip. And there they are warming up side by side. So Division 1 of heat number 1 of the Hamiltonian is just ahead here on ESPN. As we take a break, you take a look at the post positions and the odds. We're back at the Meadowlands for Division 1 of heat number 1 for the 1985 Hambletonian. And the fans here at the track have made Master Willie and Mark 6 the favorites, with Workaholic a third choice, kind of a distant third choice. David, about right to you, do you think?
Absolutely. The fans of the Meadowlands are right on the button here with Master Willie and Mark 6.
Okay, well, we'll see. In fact, Master Willie and Mark 6 co-favorites at the moment, 6-5, which is kind of short odds in a field of this quality. The colts are now trotting, slowly lining up behind the gate. Of course, with trotters, it's especially important to get them on their gate before they go, because it is easier for trotters than pacers to break stride. And, of course, that would be a disaster if it happened as they start the race or too late for a recall. So these trotters are going to be carefully collected by their drivers to get them calm and on stride, their noses as close to the gate as they are willing to accept. The gate is moving. The trotters are coming up behind the gate. Tom Durkin is in the booth. We'll call Division 1, the rest of the races for us as well. So let's send it up to Tom right now.
All right, Sharon, thank you very much. As you can see, the field in line behind the starting gate. Just noticed that Master Willie was a little washy behind the gate. Broke out in a little bit of a lather as they come to the wire. Here they come for the first division of the first heat of the Hamiltonian, and they're off. And Workaholic is out first. Master Willie is staying right with him early. Mark 6 comes away on the far outside in 3rd. Torway quickly to the inside in 4th. JR's Chip finds a spot at the rail early in 5th position. Bone Sport comes away 6th. The gap of 3 back to Host of Waverly. Collector's Work is racing in 8th, and the early trailer is nearly perfect around the first turn. Master Willie up to take the lead. Here comes Mark 6 moving in the first quarter. A quick one. It's 28-1, and they enter the backstretch. Master Willie leads the pack, and Mark 6 drops in 2nd. Workaholic is 3rd, and then a gap of 4 back to Torway, who's trotting in 4th position. JR's Chip is 5th. Bone Sport is 6th, and he's about 10 lengths off the lead now. And then it's Host of Waverly, followed by Nearly Perfect, and off stride goes Collector's Work. They're moving over to the half mile with Master Willie in charge. Here's the half, 57 seconds flat, and they head for the final turn.
Master Willie leads the pack. Mark 6 right there in close pursuit. Workaholic still trotting in third. Torway fourth at the inside. JR's Chip is parked out fifth. Bone Sport is going off stride. And around the final turn, Master Willie, Mark 6 still right there in the pocket. John Campbell remains in the pocket with Mark 6. Workaholic is racing in third position. JR's Chip to the outside. Torway at the rail. Master Willie turns for home off 3/4 in 1:26.1. Mark 6 is out after him now. On the far outside, it's Workaholic closing in for the final 1/8 of a mile. It's Mark 6 on the outside, taking the lead. Master Willie trying to stay with him. Workaholic right there, third. Torway trying to move through in between horses. Mark 6. Here comes Torway with the late move. Howard Weisinger and Torway have won it and upset in the first division of the first heat. Great drive there by Howard Weisinger. A big long shot, a big price here at the Meadowlands. Mark 6 did finish second. I'm not exactly sure who was third. The final time, 1:55.2. A very quick first heat in the Hambo.
Torway went off at 35-1. What a drive by Howard Weisinger. The path opened up between Master Willie and Mark 6, and in went Torway to take it, Stan.
Weisinger last night said, "I'm just happy to be here," but he's obviously happier now than he was last night. He, of course, is a veteran of Hambletonian action. He was the man at Speedy Crown and Lindy's Pride, and here he scores a major upset with his 3-year-old son of Speedy Crown. And the Swedish connection even figures here because Hans Engren, who has the favorite Prakas in the next race, also owns the dam, the mother of the winner of this one, Torway.
Mark 6 was second.
Torway coming through. You see Master Willie fading on the rail.
And Mark 6 on the outside. Campbell got all he could out of him, just not enough as Torway upsets them here.
David, how'd you see the race from your vantage point?
Well, how many times have we seen here at the Meadowlands? The horse sitting back, waiting for his chance, comes up down the lane and wins. This long Meadowlands stretch can take its toll. Horse on the front end, Master Willie tried to cut the whole mile. He faded. John Campbell sat in the 2-hole. He couldn't do it. And here comes Howard Weisinger with Torway. This, by the way, is the third fastest mile in Hamiltonian history. So they're flying today, no question about it.
So Torway surprised a lot of people with his victory, obviously paying $76.40 to win, $12.40 to play, $6.80 to show. Mark 6 paying $2.80 and $2.60. Workaholic paying $4.20. Master Willie Nearly Perfect also qualifying for the second heat of the 1985 Hambletonian. So, again, we have got to look at the second division now of the first heat. Again, 5 horses will make it. There are 8 in Division 2. And Torway now the holder of the track record here and just a couple of ticks off of the Hambletonian record. Number 1 in Division 2, Prakas. Now, he is the heavy, heavy favorite here, and rightly so. Per Erickson, the trainer. And he certainly has a chance. Bill O'Donnell is the driver. Number 2 is Megatrend. This is another son of Speedy Crown. Carl Lacaze, the driver and trainer of this colt. And he will be a modest long shot in this race. Now, number 3 is Somali Star. Howard Weisinger knows how to drive a trotter, is driving and training this one as well. His win with Torway was his 8th heat victory in Hamiltonian. He's going after his 4th overall Hambletonian win. And number 4 in Division number 2 is Another Miracle. This is a bonefish colt. He won the Peter Houghton last year, $1 million race, and he is looking to get his first win of 1985. Joe Caroluzzi is the trainer, Mickey McNichol, the driver of this colt. Number 5 is Angler's Line. Now, this colt comes out of the Haken-Wallner stable and is going to be a bit of a long shot here, although, you know, you would never want to discount one of the Swedish horses because they certainly would not be here just for the exercise, one would presume. Ron B. Hanover out of Team Nordin, Jan Nordin, the driver of this colt. He's won 3 times this year and more than $200,000. He'll get a little bit of support. In fact, plenty of support, you'd have to say, in this race. And number 7 is Pig Bar. Stanley Dancer back again. His horse broke stride in Division number 1, so he is going to try again in Division number 2 with this colt, Pig Bar, another bonefish colt. And he has won quite a few races. He's almost always in the money, David. We wonder, though, if he's going to be able to be practiced today.
Well, he's done it before, so it's quite a possibility. A couple of weeks back, he won a division of the Colonial, Liberty Bell, where he set his mark of 158, beating that horse by 6 lengths.
And that is Pigvar, and Stanley obviously would love to win another one. Number 8 is Flackbait. He's one of the most intriguing horses in this field, son of Speedy Somali, who won this race. Ben Webster won it last year with Historic Freight. He's back with this colt, in whom he owns a substantial interest.
Absolutely. This colt was a nice, pleasant surprise for Benny. He was at a yearling sale in Atlantic City, sitting around at the poker table, happened to do real well, walked back in and bought this horse.
Well, that is Flackbait, and obviously Ben Webster would like to win 2 in a row. But, you know, it's going to take a lot of trotting to beat the heavy favorite, Prakas. He's odds on 1-5 at the moment. And all these people have one horse to beat. And I know Stanley thinks that this is the horse to beat. I guess we all do, Stan.
And more importantly, Sharon, all of the horsemen do. Without exception on the backstretch, the horsemen say that Prakas has peaked. He has come to the peak of his form at just the right time for the Hambletonian. This horse had a little knee trouble last year, a little immature in the knees, but he's overcome it now. Had been racing on the big tracks, has won 6 out of 9 and has been second the other 3 times, but comes into this race off smashing victories at Vernon Downs and here at the Meadowlands, and the horsemen like him.
At this point,
Last week on that sloppy track, Prakas with that 57-2 time, though he was parked outside for 3/4 of the way, he has impressed all the people here, as they have bet a total of $36,000 just in the win pool on Prakas. Prakas is 1-5. He was 4-5 in the morning line. Ron B. Hanover is now at 7-1. He was the number 2 choice at 9-2 this morning in the morning line as he came on strong. But Prakas right now is a heavy favorite. He was consensus in the morning line, and he certainly is that among the folks here at the Meadowlands, based primarily on the fact he was very impressive on a bad course here just a little over a week ago. Sharon?
We're seconds away from the start of division number 2 of the 1985 Hamiltonian. Prakas, the odds-on favorite. He's number 1 horse. He's got the rail here, which is sometimes a problem at the Meadowlands, although the field is not excessively large tonight. The horses are lining up, and as they pass the 7/8 pole, it's time for us to send it to Tom Durkin, who's going to have the call of the race.
Okay, Sharon, thank you very much. The field in line for the second division of the first heat of the Hamiltonian. And as we know, Prakas, the big fave, he's leaving from the rail. Here he comes. And Angler's Line moves on the gate. Here we go. And they're off. Flackbait. He's out fast on the outside. Toward the inside, Prakas is there. Angler's Line in between horses with Ron B. Hanover. Pigvar caught wide into the turn. And it's Flackbait who goes on now to take the early lead. Flackbait striding out to a 2-length lead. And Prakas, the favorite, is racing in second as they move around the first turn. Megatrend is racing in third position. Angler's Line is parked out fourth. Somali Star and Howard Beisinger, they're fifth at the inside. Ron B. Hanover racing in sixth, and then it's Pigvar and another miracle off stride. The first quarter in 28-2. Entering the backstretch, here comes Prakas now, and Bill O'Donnell puts him on top. Prakas takes the lead from Flackbait. A gap of 4 lengths. Megatrend has settled into third. Somali Star is fourth. Angler's Line racing in fifth. To the outside goes Pigvar. He's launching his bid from the back of the pack. Ron B. Hanover is next, and far back is another miracle. Here's the halfway mark. 57 3/5 seconds. And Prakas is in charge by 2 lengths. Flackbait and Ben Webster, they're racing in the pocket. Here comes Stanley Dancer with Pigvar. They're on the move now on the outside, up in the third. Megatrend is back and forth. Ron B. Hanover moves up with cover fifth as they race around the far turn. And Prakas is just breezing along. He's got a 2-length lead with less than 3/8 to go. On the outside, it's Pigvar toward the inside. It's Flackbait. Then farther back, Megatrend racing in fourth. Ron B. Hanover now will come 3 wide for the stretch drive. 3/4 in 1:26-4. At the top of the stretch, it's Prakas leading the way. And Flackbait right there second. On the outside, Ron B. Hanover is third. They're in the final 8. And Prakas is moving smoothly with a 2.5 length lead as they come to the final 16th. Bill O'Donnell just a tap or two from the whip. And it's going to be Prakas. He's going to win this easily. Prakas won this with something left. It was close for second between Flackbait, who did look fine, and Ron B. Hanover, who came on. Those two are in a photo for place, but Prakas, he won with, he did it so easily in the final time. Very deceptive, 1:55-1. He won it with deceptive ease.
The odds
So Prakas, the heavy favorite, comes true to form, took over the lead from Flackbait on the backstretch early, and then an easy trot for Prakas to victory.
There were a few anxious flutters early. He refused to go to the gate twice, and at the head of the stretch stopped again. The outrider took him to the gate, and once the man said go, Benny Webster, who has a very fast speed horse, has had soundness problems, that's Flackbait, went out from the outside post, went to the front, but as you see here, he was still game at the finish, but Bill O'Donnell, looking around, and only a fifth of a second off the Hamiltonian record, whipped over his elbow, and Prakas.
Yeah, what is it?
With all the press clippings,
8 to 1, I'm sure.
First division went in 155 and 2. Second division goes in 155 and 1. The heavy favorite, Prakas, the winner. The place horse is Flackbait, and a strong finish for Ron B. Hanover to get show. We'll be back with more harness racing in just a moment.
We're back at the Meadowlands, where shortly Nihilator will go after the all-time harness racing record. Nihilator holds it. Nihilator, his son, is going to set his sights on that today. And, of course, following that, we are going to have the second heat, possibly the final heat of the 1985 Hamiltonian. 10 horses have qualified out of the first two divisions, the two divisions of heat number 1. And we can tell you, in fact, who they are and how they look right now. Of course, the two winners, both impressive. Torway, a long shot, and Prakas, a heavy favorite, equally impressive. Now, here are the head numbers that you are looking at, along with the odds. Now, 1 and 1A, that's an entry, so you get the two horses for the price of one, Mark 6 and Prakas. Even at 4 to 5, that's fairly generous if it holds at 4 to 5, David, I would say.
Absolutely.
That's a good bet on those two wonderful quality horses. Another entry, Somali Star and Torway. Howard Beisinger going after his 4th overall Hambletonian victory. His entry at 5 to 1. So you get a heat winner and maybe a surprise qualifier at 5 to 1. Here are some of the rest of the odds. Nobody's giving much of a shot against Prakas or against the entry, really. Flackbait at 8 to 1. Flackbait extremely impressive in that in his division. I think surprised a lot of people at how well he trotted. So anything surprised you there so far, David?
Well, no, Flackbait did race a nice race. The horse looked a little sore when he warmed up, but he came out on the track. He forgot about his pain, and he put in an excellent performance.
So what do you think? A 2-heat Hambletonian this year?
Absolutely. I've got to go with Prakas. The horse went wire to wire, beat this field like they were standing still. Bill O'Donnell never had to get after that horse. I look for Prakas to take it easily.
And, of course, they did set a track record. They were just a fraction off of the all-time Hamiltonian record, which was set at a different track and perhaps a slightly faster track. So we will have to see about heat number 2 of the Hamiltonian, whether it's the final heat or whether, indeed, they're going to have to go to a race-off. But what we have up next is a special occasion, Annihilator. This is a pace, an invitational pace. The race itself, well, no race doesn't count for anything, but it's not the race, it's the horse. Number 1 in the post position, and post parade really, is Annihilator. Bill O'Donnell, the driver. This is the great horse who already shares the all-time race record of 150 and 3. He set it on this track at night. Nighttime racing is slower than daytime racing. 149 and 1 is Nihilator's world record. That was set in a time trial, so it's rather remarkable that he's even challenging a time trial record. These are the all-time fastest miles in harness racing. Nihilator and Annihilator. Colt 46 at the very fast track at Springfield last year had set the race record. Fan Hanover, a mare in a time trial, 50 and 4. Trenton and Don't Dally also a mare. And that's a pretty impressive group of horses that Annihilator is challenging. So that's what he's going for. His sire's record, a 5-year-old all-time standard bred race record of 149 and 1. Time trial record of 149 and 1. So that's what we are waiting for. Annihilator in race number 9 on the card, an invitational 3-year-old pace. And the fans at the Meadowlands are hoping to see something special today. So there he is, Bill O'Donnell. Bill's got to be a little bit nervous, David. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. Bill's a pretty cool fella. He's been in this situation before. He's been in pressure situations before. He's a good man to have on a top horse. He's one of the best. He and John Campbell lead this sport year after year.
He's looking for history now. Number 2, one of the challengers, Mickey McNichol, and What's Next? And this horse is trained by Joe Caroluzzi, and he's a good horse. Second in his last several starts, all-time best of 154. Number 3 is Stonebridge Skipper, a long shot, obviously, as everybody is against Annihilator. John Campbell, the driver here, and he, I suppose, is hoping to stay with Annihilator, perhaps set a little pace. That's one of the questions. Will anybody go out there early to help Annihilator along in his attempt at the record? Number 4, Falcon Sealster. Now, this is a really good colt. This is one that would not normally be in a race to fill out a race, and we can't assume that he is. He's coming off a loss at Hinsdale, but before that he was a very, very consistent winner, mostly in the Midwest. Number 5, Shannon Majority. This is a 4-year-old. Ron Waples is the driver and trainer of this colt. And he's coming off of a win, but in a claiming handicap, so we can't think that he's in the class of Nihilator. We hate to make assumptions, however. Good-natured fella, a long shot. Carmine Albertello, a very popular figure around the New York, New Jersey area. And he's going to drive this 3-year-old Precious Fella colt. And finally, number 7, Candy's Fella. Fred Grant is the driver and trainer of this colt. He's coming off of a win at Roosevelt. And that is the field. That is the group that's going to challenge Nihilator. Sam and Stan are down by the paddock, and let's go to them, see what they think.
Sharon, the conditions are right for a record, and Nihilator is after it, and that's all that everybody's talking about, Stan.
Well, there's a slight wind blowing down the stretch. That won't help him any. The field isn't going to be able to push him hard enough, I'm afraid. His connections are preoccupied with a world record. He holds it in a race along with the horse that set it last year out at Springfield at 150-3, Colt 46. His sire, who set his record at 149-1, did it in a time trial. So he can break the world race record and still not get the world time trial record here today if he can go fast enough for Bill O'Donnell. And there's a good close-up of O'Donnell. As always happens, and I can tell you this is an old racing secretary, the best horse invariably draws the rail in this kind of a situation. He needed the rail in here like he needs another head.
Is 149 possible?
Well, it's possible. I would be surprised if he breaks it here this afternoon, but and mainly because I doubt there's anybody who can stay with him. Falcon Sealster and Shannon Majority would seem to have the best chance of pushing him. Falcon Sealster, an extreme early speed horse.
And there you see the great Nihilator. Some people say this is the greatest pacer ever. Some say it's Niatros, a great argument. Right now, Sharon Smith has a look at both, father and son.
He remains the standard by which all other harness horses are judged. Niatros is the fastest horse in the history of the sport, a legend made up of pure speed. In the 5 years since his retirement, his money-earning record has been eclipsed, but the memory of speed remains. Niatros doesn't pace anymore. At the age of 8, he trots and canters in his paddock at Pine Hollow Stud in upstate New York, where he's treated as one of the boys.
We take the same care we take with the rest of the stallions. They're all in the same barn. They're all maintained the same. But as far as extra care for him compared to the other horses, it's all the same. He's an easy keeper. And, you know, when it comes down to it, Niatros takes care of himself.
5 years ago, he wasn't taking it easy. At the Meadowlands Pace, the first $1 million race, Niatros paced to a stakes record and his single biggest payday, a welcome victory for driver Clint Galbraith, after a fall and a break had led to the only 2 losses in the horse's career. Part owner Lou Gaida and the other members of the Niatros family celebrated that win 5 years ago.
He's a great horse, and I think he'll even go faster as the season goes on. He showed tonight that he looks like he's in great condition, and Clint gave him a great drive.
Gaida was right to think that Niatros could go faster. A few months later at Lexington's Red Mile came a milestone in racing history, a time trial against 2 running horses.
He's in the final race. Niatros is going to be the fastest ever in the sport. He races the wire. Niatros, 52-4 record performer, approaches the wire. 3/4, 21-4. And Niatros is home in
149-1 is now the standard. Nobody had gone faster before, none has since. But this year, one just might. Niatros, if he could understand, would probably be proud rather than jealous, because the pretender to the throne is his son. It was last summer that people began talking about Annihilator, a colt from the first crop of Niatros. He was fast, trainer Bill Houghton knew, but just one of several fast 2-year-olds in the barn. At the Woodrow Wilson Pace at the Meadowlands, Houghton discovered beyond doubt that Annihilator was more than just fast. The mile in 152-4 was a world record for a 2-year-old, the fastest mile ever raced by a 2-year-old standardbred. The shadow of a new legend had appeared. The legend grew at the Red Mile in the fall in a race which racing circumstances should have had him beaten.
That's Nia first on the front. Here's Annihilator coming on at him again. Nia first and Annihilator. The 2 colts are heads apart, and Annihilator is thundering by to get the lead. Annihilator's going to be hung the mile and draw off. It is Annihilator going away. Annihilator winning at 153-2.
Annihilator ended the year with a loss to Dragon's Lair and the Breeders' Crown, and as he wintered in Florida, owners and trainers of other good 3-year-old pacers had hopes. If he doesn't make the turn from 2 to 3, if the rumors of unsoundness were true, Annihilator could be beaten. But he returned to the north into racing action as the horse to beat, and one by one the challengers failed. By the Meadowlands pace, Annihilator found his most serious challenger to be the clock. The horse wasn't making any promises, but his owners were. They talked about a mile in an almost unconceivable 1:48, which Bill Houghton said was a possibility.
I really feel that the 1:48 is within his reach. You never will know till he gets there, and I've never been one to brag on anything like that, but I really feel that this horse has that ability.
Of course, all time records, the 1:49 and 1 time trial record, the 1:50 and 3 race record, could only come on a hot afternoon on one of the Midwestern clay tracks, never at the Meadowlands at night. Then came the Meadowlands pace 2 weeks ago, and the impossible was done.
Annihilator reclaims the lead at the top of the stretch. He hit 3/4 in 1:23 and 3. Annihilator's going to work. He's pouring it on. He's opened up a 4-length lead, and there's an 1/8 of a mile to come. Anxious Robbie has dropped out of it now. Chairman of the board toward the inside and Primus on the outside. A 1/16 to go. Annihilator, what a powerhouse. He's in full stride. Here's Annihilator. Bill O'Donnell urging him to a sensational mile. 1:50 and 3. Annihilator, a superstar.
So Annihilator is the co-owner of the all-time race record on a track listed as 2/5 of a second slower than the track where the other record was set.
Now, if anyone questions that Annihilator's not the greatest horse ever to set foot on the racetrack, they ought to see their psychiatrist, because tonight he showed his greatness.
Annihilator will continue his racing career this summer and fall, and there will be other horses on the track to race against him. But his people are convinced that his only true rival is on a farm in Pine Bush, New York, whose blood he carries as he challenges history.
The great Annihilator has won 20 of 21 starts. Today, he goes after the world record. You'll see it right here. It's coming up next.
Annihilator's race is just ahead. It's an invitational pace for 3- and 4-year-olds. Annihilator, needless to say, is the favorite. He's listed as 1 to 20. The board here only shows 1 to 9. 1 to 20 might even be a little bit longer or shorter odds than he is. What's next? Stonebridge skipper long shots. Falcon Sealster, few people giving him a shot. This is about what we expected, David.
Sure, Falcon Sealster's a nice colt. I don't know that he's going to give Annihilator much of a chase, but he is a nice colt. Candy's Fella's got some early speed at 50 to 1. He's probably going to leave, perhaps set up a fast fractions for the first quarter, and then from there it's probably going to be all Annihilator.
A little bit of history. Of course, Annihilator has lost one race. It was the Breeders' Crown, a two-race, not strictly speaking heat racing, but a 2-race event last fall at the Meadows in Pennsylvania. Annihilator won the first in world record time, came back and lost the second to Dragon's Lair. And that was his only loss. Nitro's lost twice. Once he fell over the rail at Saratoga, and once he broke stride and then came back to qualify for the Meadowlands pace anyway. So horses do lose even the quality of Annihilator. So that is the great Annihilator on the track. And by the way, we want to welcome the Canadian viewers on the TSN network. So viewers in Canada will get to see Canadian Bill O'Donnell and the great Annihilator try to set the world record. Is it practical to think that he could set this world record today, David, really?
I think so. We've got a good situation for it, a nice, warm, sunny day. As Stan mentioned, we've got a wind going down the stretch, but that shouldn't bother this horse too much. The biggest problem is going to be who's going to challenge him, who's going to keep him alive in the race. Candy's Fella, as I say, has got some early speed. Falcon Sealster has some early speed. And that's going to be the issue. Will they get down there fast enough to set a world's record?
Of course, the reason they do time trials is they allow one or more, as a great athlete watches Joe DiMaggio, they allow one or more galloping horses to go along to pace the pacer or trotter to make sure that somebody can go as fast as he can. So the one problem with Annihilator, he doesn't always start well. So that's something we've got to watch. Of course, what's important is how they finish rather than how they start, but he's often been a little sluggish away from the gate. So they passed the 7/8 pole right now. Annihilator nagging a little bit, or lagging really. Let's send it now to Tom Durkin with the call of Annihilator's race.
Sharon, thank you very much. Here they come. Annihilator trying for the world record here. He moves up on the gate with Bill O'Donnell. Here we go. And they're off. Out first is Shannon Majority, and Falcon Sealster moves to the inside. Annihilator away third. Good-natured fellow from the outside. Then it's What's Next and around the first turn. Shannon Majority now striding out to a 3.5 length lead. Falcon Sealster racing in second. Good-natured fellow is third. Annihilator is fourth. He's 7 lengths off the lead now. What's Next races in fifth position, followed by Stonebridge Skipper. The opening quarter, 26-2. Amazing first quarter. Shannon Majority was the one that set the pace. And Falcon Sealster is racing in second position. And now O'Donnell puts Annihilator in gear. And he's on the move on the outside. He's up into third. And he's going right on after Shannon Majority, the leader. Annihilator taking charge. A dramatic rush to the lead. Falcon Sealster comes off the rail. The first quarter, 26-2. Here's the half mile. 53 4/5 seconds. He's ahead of Nihilator's pace. His half mile was 54 3. And the field moves into the far turn. Annihilator and Bill O'Donnell at the lines. They're in front by 2 lengths. Falcon Sealster is second. The others are far behind. It's almost 10 lengths back to Stonebridge Skipper racing in third. Less than 3/8 of a mile to go. Annihilator looking for the world record. Falcon Sealster in close pursuit. 7 lengths now back to the rest. The 3/4 mark. 1:21 2/5 seconds. The field turns for home. Annihilator with long and powerful strides. And Bill O'Donnell urging him on. They're after the world record. Falcon Sealster is racing in second. They're coming to the final 16th. It's only Annihilator against the clock. Falcon Sealster in pursuit. They're coming to the finish. O'Donnell going to work. Here's Annihilator. Here's the final time. 1:49 3. This is the fastest race mile in history, and just 2 ticks off the time trial record of Nihilator. Annihilator, another devastating performance.
And a great call of the race by Tom Durkin. Annihilator against the clock. And as Tom told you, the fastest race time ever, 1:49 3. But just missed the world record.
2 things make it tremendously impressive. One is it is not a hot, humid day here. It's a very pleasant, breezy day, but hot, humid weather is what produces speed. And the other thing is O'Donnell's judgment of pace. Of course, O'Donnell has driven the winners of over 25 million in the last 4 or 5 years. Take a look here. This is the move on the backstretch going to the half-mile mark, and watch Annihilator turn it on.
Right past good-natured fella.
Look at O'Donnell's whip.
And right past
not urging that horse. He's pacing himself. O'Donnell's whip back over his arm. He raised it once just to let him know he's there.
It's as if the others aren't moving. Only Annihilator is going.
It was a tremendous performance by Falcon Sealster also, who followed this horse down to the lane gamely.
See him almost lose the whip there.
Almost lost his whip.
Just recovered.
Looking back to see where Falcon Sealster is.
The win is safe. Annihilator now against the clock and goes 1:49 3. Sharon, very close to the world record. Everybody was excited.
Oh, what an occasion it is. In fact, if you do believe that Springfield is 2/5 faster, presumably he could go 1:49 in a race at Springfield if he goes in a time trial. Heaven knows, David, how fast this colt could
He's
go.
a great, great animal. There's no question about it. I was impressed with Falcon Sealster. He sat the pocket. He had a shot. He followed along. Probably went 150 himself. That's not a bad mile for him either.
It would be the 3rd fastest mile of all time after Nihilator and Annihilator. Probably the only time ever that the owners of a horse are going to be a little bit disappointed after a mile below 150. It's phenomenal. 2/5 off the time trial record. Again, they go much faster in a time trial. Nobody doubts that. So Annihilator is certainly the most impressive race mile in the history of this sport. What a remarkable performance by this beautiful colt. And he did most of what he was supposed to do today. You certainly can't take anything away from this colt. So that is Annihilator, the all-time fastest standardbred in a race in 1:49 3 today at the Meadowlands. We'll be back with more in just a minute. There's the horse Annihilator, the all-time fastest fastest racing standardbred, 149 and 3, and he looks a great deal like his sire, who still holds the record, by the way. That is Nihilator. Is there anything, David, that he could do to have gone a little bit faster? He doesn't leave well. He wasn't far behind the gate. They tucked him in about where they expected.
He got away where he wanted. Again, a first quarter in 26 and 2. The China majority set up for everybody. Easily the most impressive part of this race was that brush down the backstretch. As Stan said, O'Donnell just waved the whip at him one time, and the horse was flying.
It'd be very interesting to see if they time trial him. He's obviously a very competitive horse. The couple of races where somebody's challenged him, he blew him away pretty quickly after they looked at him, the one exception being the second race in his Breeders' Crown. So maybe with the time trial with galloping horses that can keep up with him, if they can keep up with him, he would be forced to go just a little bit faster.
Exactly. Here he's doing it all on his own.
Yeah, he is. O'Donnell almost lost his whip there. But he knows he's got no trouble there. And there he goes. And Falcon Sealster, what a race. That horse was probably under 150. My word, what a brave horse staying with that. And there he goes under the wire. He is the champ. And Kenny Rice is in the winner's circle, and he's got some very happy people to talk to. At least we presume they're happy and not too disappointed that he wasn't 2 fifths faster. Let's go to Kenny.
Thank you very much, Sharon. I'm with Bill O'Donnell. Bill, congratulations. It is the fastest race ever, 149 and 3. This on an all-weather track, a track that is not made primarily of dirt, and one that you do not think about when you talk about fast times, yet he's done it twice within a week.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable horse. It doesn't matter any kind of racetrack, though it's real hard to get over this track real fast, and clay track would knock another second or so off that, I think.
How good is this horse then? You're talking about another second off, and in a race condition, he finished just 2 fifths of a second behind the record for a time trial.
Well, who knows? Like, he's gone 2 real tough races, and, you just can't do that every time with him, but, the conditions permitting and, his soundness and health is okay. He'll go a pretty good mile, I think.
After that first quarter, 26 and change, he took off like a shot.
Yeah, I just moved him back to the front, and, his second quarter must have been 26 in the piece, and he just kept on rolling from there. And, last quarter was 28 and 1, which is a credible quarter off a mile like that.
It is. It's kind of funny, isn't it, to be talking about, well, it did pretty good, didn't he, with a 49 and 3.
Yeah, not bad, huh?
Thanks a lot, Bill O'Donnell.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck. Mr. Lou Guida, congratulations, a 49 and 3. You have another record, a race record, not the record that maybe you wanted today, though.
Well, we would have gotten a record, I'm convinced. If you look at the flags, you'll see the headwind coming into stretch is kind of strong. And I think that made the difference. Plus, he got away from the 1 hole again, which is not the best position. And he was 4th at the quarter pole, so he had to make up a lot of ground. But I'm very satisfied. No other horse has ever done it. And he'll annihilate them in Springfield. This record's gone. As far as I'm concerned, if the horse stays down, he'll go at least a second faster in Springfield.
Next up for you then, Springfield.
Springfield, Illinois. Here we come.
Race conditions, time trial.
Time trial. We have to get a thoroughbred because we don't know how fast this horse can go unless we get someone to stay with him all the way.
You've said all along this horse can go faster than any other. How fast do you think he can go?
I think under the right conditions, this horse can go somewhere between 47 and 4 and 48 and 3.
Incredible horse. Thank you very much, Lou Guida.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Another record for Annihilator, 49 and 3. Sharon?
Thank you, Kenny. And, of course, the Grand Circuit moves to Springfield in a couple of weeks. The fastest track in harness racing, which certainly is in this country, where records are set every year. And going in with this kind of qualifications, we've got to presume that if he stays healthy, another one will be set this year in a couple of weeks. So Annihilator, the winner and the race record holder, back with more in a minute.
Back to the Meadowlands racetrack in East Rutherford, New Jersey. We are moments away from the second heat of the Hamiltonian. Right now, let's take you back and review the first division of the first heat, where Mark 6 and Master Willie battled it out for most of the race.
And Howard Beisinger sitting down along the rail in the pocket, as they say. He had been getting a trip, as the parlance goes in harness racing, and at this point, it didn't look like his trip was going to do him any good unless he got room to get through. And sure enough, he did, as Mark 6 drifted out in the stretch. Horses have a tendency when they tire to drift out, and this one was tiring. And when he did, Howard Beisinger, who has won 3 Hambletonians and bidding to win 4th to tie the record, comes through with Torway, a long shot here to win it in 155 and 2.
Torway, the winner of the first division of the first heat, driven by Howard Beisinger. Kenny Rice is with Howard Beisinger right now to talk about that win.
Winning driver Howard Beisinger, congratulations. Torway coming in here a 35-1 shot. Do you think the crowd was right in that assessment 35-1 before they had a chance to see him out here? Primarily, he had been in New York Sire Stakes.
Yes, he's hasn't been racing around here too much, and I've been kind of prepping him for this race. And he should have been a long shot, but I don't know if he should have been 35-1.
Impressive finish, came on strong. Do you think everything set up real well for a fast mile, and we have a record time in this heat of 55-2?
That's right. Well, he had a good post position, and he's following a couple good horses, and Master Willie and Workaholic was the ones that I was trying to stay within striking distance of, and it worked out real well.
Now, coming back, how is he going to do in heat racing, do you think?
Well, I think he'll be as good as the others. I think he can come back to second heat just as strong as the others can.
What impressed you most about this horse, about Torway? You said you'd been bringing him along, obviously, for the Hambletonian. That is the desire of anyone with a 3-year-old trotter.
Well, he's got a wonderful attitude, and he just tries so hard, and he can go the distance. He finishes his mile very well. I think that's his best features, is his attitude and his quality of endurance.
Howard, good luck. Thank you very much. Howard Beisinger, who has driven Torway to a surprise victory here in this first division.
Well, that was the first division. The second division, a different kind of race, really. No long shot winner here. A horse expected to dominate indeed did. Prakas was the heavy favorite going in and was extremely impressive, David. There was nothing more that this colt could have done to impress us.
That's absolutely right, Sharon. There were no surprises here whatsoever. Prakas got to the top. He sat carefully. And O'Donnell was basically riding here, as you can see, just looking for competition.
Big day for Bill O'Donnell. Between Nihilator and this colt, he's going to be pretty pleased.
It's a normal day at the Meadowlands.
And, of course, that is a record, 155-1, 1/5 off of the Hamiltonian record. It was a big day for Bill O'Donnell and hopes that it'll get a little bit bigger. Kenny Rice in the winner's circle to talk to Bill O'Donnell and about Prakas.
With me, Bill O'Donnell, winning driver. Prakas, an impressive time of 55-1. Bill, looked like you had a lot of colt left at the end.
Yeah, he was pretty good, you know, the whole way. I wasn't pressed any at all, you know. Benny Webster went to front, and I came back to front past the quarter pole, and I really wasn't pressed much after that, so that's a good, easy race, you know, to go into a final.
He certainly lived up to all the billing given him after an impressive performance on a bad track out here, a lot of slop just a little over a week ago here at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, it was really a bad night. It was almost hurricane winds and rains, and the track itself, the footing was real good because the rain patted it down, you know, but it was an unbelievable mile, I thought.
This is the third time you've driven him, the second time this year. What impresses you about this colt?
He's got a flawless gait, and he's got a good attitude, and he's just a big, strong colt, and you know, he wants to do it right.
And he is a colt who has been used to heat racing before, so you don't have too many worries about coming back.
No, 2 weeks ago at Vernon, he went 2 heats, and Ronnie Waples drove him, and he said the second heat he was tremendous, and last year at Lexington, he raced 2 heats, and he was good both times.
It seemed the kind of race also that would set him up well for another race today, Bill.
Yeah, hopefully. You know, I didn't really have to chase him on too much, and hopefully he's not tired.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Bill O'Donnell, winning driver of Prakas, a time of 55-1 in the second division of the Hambletonian.
It's been a big day for Bill O'Donnell, winning with Nihilator and with Prakas. Bill O'Donnell has never won the Hambletonian.
No, but I think he's about to.
Okay, let's take a look at the post positions for the second heat of the Hambletonian. The favorites, these are the head numbers. Mark 6 and Prakas, the entry, 1 and 1A. Somoli Star and Torway, an entry, 2 and 2A. Mark 6 will go out of the number 4 hole, and Prakas will start the number 2 post.
And the way we might explain that they draw their post position, the 2 winners draw for post position 1 and 2. And when they drew those pills between Torway and Prakas, Torway got the rail and Prakas got 2. Then the 2 second-place finishers draw for 3 and 4, and so forth.
Ron B. Hanover came on strong in the second division of the first heat. Where's number 4? Ron B. Hanover will be in the number 6 spot. Nearly Perfect will come out of the number 9 hole. Pigvar on the outside, the 10 post. Workaholic will go out of the number 5 slot, and Flack Bait will go out of the number 3 hole.
Which makes a big difference to him because he left from the outside and had to be used the first time. However, I don't think he's quite enough to handle Prakas.
Kenny Rice is in the paddock checking out the horses right now. Kenny, what do you see?
Thank you very much, Sam. And everyone is standing and getting ready to go out onto the track now. Really no problems at all with these horses. They handle themselves very well. Nice little shaded area. With me is Kurt Green, the general manager of the Red Mile, the site of the Kentucky Futurity, which will be the third leg in Trotting's Triple Crown. And noticing all the horses standing well, Soren Nordin and Jan Nordin going over a little strategy perhaps, or maybe putting the earplugs back in Master Willie. That was about the only thing we saw here in the paddock, Kurt.
Yeah, I think that all the horses look really, set up nice and relaxed and blowed out between heats. So what they try and do is relax the horse between heats, and so he can get his respiration back and be fresh for this next trip.
Always some interest, of course, at the Red Mile in this, trying to set up a possible Triple Crown. It has been since 1978 was the last time that there was that opportunity, when Speedy Somali went to Lexington and lost there. 72, the last time we've had a trotting Triple Crown champ in Super Bowl. Why has it been so long, you think, Kurt?
Well, it's a tough series of races. All of the races are multiple dash races to win. In the Yonkers Trot, they have to win elimination in a final. This is a multiple heat race. The Futurity is a multiple heat race. The other thing is that they stretch them over 3 and 4 months' time. It is a long time, or a long period, and all of the horses have to stay good for a long time.
Thank you very much, Kurt Green, general manager of the Red Mile. Prakas looked especially fresh. And now let's go back up and take a look at everything from above with Sharon Smith.
Thanks, Kenny. And this is Mark 6, the #1 horse from the Nordine stable, and John Campbell, the driver of this horse. Mark 6, part of an entry. 1A, the more heavily favored part of the entry, Prakas, Bill O'Donnell. Again, Prakas, if he wins, is going to win the Hambletonian. This is the second heat. One horse has to win 2 heats. Prakas and Torway are the 2 with the possibilities of doing that. Number 2 is Somali Star. Ron Waples will get the drive this time because Howard Biesiger is going to go with Torway. And Somali Star, a son of Speedy Somali, who won this race. And Howard Biesiger, of course, remains the trainer, although he's given somebody else the drive. Number 2A is Torway. Howard Biesiger going after his 4th Hambletonian victory. He's already won 8 heats, and if he wins this heat, he will have it. That is Torway. A surprise in the first heat won't be as much of a surprise, certainly, in the second. Number 3 is Master Willie out of the Nordine stable, the one that Jan Nordine has chosen to drive here. And Master Willie, a Super Bowl colt, is consistently in the money. And, of course, he is the one horse that could win the Trotting Triple Crown this year. He'll have to win 2 heats to do it still. And the number 4 horse in the post parade is Ron B. Hanover. Soren Nordine has taken the drive on this one because, of course, Jan could only drive 1 horse at a time. It, needless to say, is out of the Nordine stable. Ron B. Hanover. Nearly Perfect. This was one of the long shots that made it. Mickey McNichol is the driver. Joe Caroluzzi is the trainer of this colt. And he's still looking for his first win in 1985, but he was a big winner last year at 2. Number 6 is Pigvar. Stanley Dancer trying to win yet another Hamiltonian, won it a couple of years ago, and he has got Pigvar in this one by Bonefish. Bonefish, a Hambletonian winner. That is Pigvar. Number 7 is Workaholic. Workaholic was the leading 2-year-old trotting colt last year. Bernd Lindstedt is driving this colt. He's out of the Haken-Wallner stable. Workaholic, who really trotted quite impressively in his division. And number 8 is Flatbait. Ben Webster hoping to win 2 in a row. Of course, he will have to win 2 heats to do it. That is Ben Webster and the colt Flatbait. His biggest win, probably the New Jersey Sire Stakes, a $100,000 race, which he won earlier this summer. And he, too, is the son of Speedy Somali. So that is the field for the second heat of 1985 Hambletonian. Torway or Prakas could win it all if they win this second heat. 8 horses, well, 10 horses, 8 numbers, because 2 of them are, there are 2 entries in the field. We will be back in just a minute as the horses race for the Hambletonian. The second heat is just ahead.
Moments away from the start of the second heat of the Hambletonian. If either Torway or Prakas win, that horse will be the Hambletonian champion. If there is a third winner, there will be a race-off in race 13 on the card this afternoon here at the Meadowlands. We are going to check in with the owners and get their views of how their horses are doing this afternoon. Kenny Rice is with one of the winning owners right now.
I'm with one of the owners of Arden Homestead Stable, Mr. Elbridge Gary, who is also one of the owners of Torway, a surprise winner in this first division of the Hamiltonian. Congratulations on the win, Mr. Gary.
Thank you. It was a great thrill. We never expected to be that close.
Now, Mr. Gary, your horse going off at 35-1. Just last week, though, on the Beacon course, he turned in an impressive performance, finishing 3rd, and you said that is what spurred you and the other owners on to put Torway in the Hamiltonian.
That's right. He finished very strongly. He came from a long way back and was going as strong as any of the rest of them were at the end. So we just said, well, let's have some fun. Let's put him in and see what happens.
He just turned in an impressive mile in a stakes record time here in the first division of 55-2. How do you think he sets up for heat racing? Because he's never done this before.
I don't think that's going to bother him any. He's had a lot of tough miles. He's been on the outside. He's chased Walter Hollick all year on the half-mile tracks, and he's just coming into his own. I'm not predicting anything, but I don't think it'll bother him anything.
Good luck to you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Elbridge Gary, who is one of the owners of Torway, the surprise winner in the first division here, the Hambletonian.
Thanks, Kenny. Stan, what do you think about Torway's chances coming back in heat races?
Well, I don't think the heat racing will bother him because, of course, the horse is bred for heat racing, as are all of these horses. I wouldn't be concerned about that. I'd be concerned about Prakas.
Now, Prakas had a relatively easy trip in that second division.
Very strong. And a tremendous thing here. Hans Engren, the man who is one of the owners of Prakas, also leased Mark 6 to his two partners. They own him. That's why they're racing in entry. And he also owns the dam of Torway. So if any of those three win, Mr. Engren's a happy man.
You're looking at Torway, winner of the first division of the first heat. Howard Beisinger, 62 years old. He won heat for the 8th time. He's looking for his 4th Hambletonian win. Kenny Rice is back with the owner of Prakas. Let's go to Kenny right now.
With me, Mr. Hans Engren, one of the owners of Prakas, a heavy favorite here today, and he won in impressive fashion at a time of 55-1 in the second division of the Hamiltonian. Congratulations. I know that you and your owners have a lot of faith in this horse, and this colt trotted a great mile so far.
Well, he certainly did. He set a new track record, and it's especially satisfying for me because I bred the horse and raced him, so it means a lot to me. And I hope he comes back strong. It didn't look like he was hard used in this race.
It does seem the kind of race that would bring back a fresh horse, and a horse who's done well in the past in heat racing.
He hasn't been worse than second all year, and he will do well, I think, in the second heat. He has other times, so we expect him to do this time. He's a very strong type of horse.
I know you already have one good mile on him. You'd like to see one more today.
Yes, I certainly do. This is only his 10th race of the year, so he should have some juice left in him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hans Engren, who is one of the owners of Prakas, an impressive winner in this second division of the Hamiltonian.
And Prakas with Bill O'Donnell looking for his first Hambletonian win, getting set for the second heat of the 60th Hambletonian. We'll be back with it for you in just a moment.
We're back at the Meadowlands racetrack in East Rutherford, New Jersey, where the second heat of the 1985 Hambletonian is just seconds away, really. And again, if Torway or Prakas wins, it will be all over. That horse will win the Hambletonian. If a third horse wins, why, then we'll have to see a race-off among the three. And the entry of Prakas and Mark 6 favored and odds-on favorites. They've been ranging from 1 to 5, 2 to 5, 1 to 2. They should be favored, obviously, David.
No question about it. Prakas is a dominant horse. He's been that way all season long, and I think it's going to end up that way.
And he has done some heat racing. That's always the question. The first time these colts are faced with having to race twice in one afternoon. Prakas has done it twice, in fact, 2 times previously this summer, and has done quite well. So we know he can handle the heat racing. Flat Bait at 8-1. He's the horse that surprised us. Looked like he was a little sore before his division and came out and trotted a great mile. So he's obviously not sore either. He's learned to pretend that he's sore, or he races in spite of it. So he certainly is one to watch. But Prakas is the favorite. Prakas and his entry mate Mark 6 are favored as the horses are beginning to line up behind the outrider and his pony. And the outrider is making sure that Prakas, number 1A, gets up to the gate as he is supposed to. It would certainly be a pity if the heavy favorite in the race refused to get behind the gate. But he is doing it. They're all lining up, these trotters getting on gate. The outrider will get out of the way as the drivers line them up, get their noses on the gate. And here they go. They're approaching the 7/8 pole. And as we go past the 7/8 pole, let's send it to Tom Durkin with the call of the race.
For the start of the second heat of the 1985 Hambo. They all look good in behind the gate. The 10 of them. Here they come. Prakas, the big favorite to win it, leaves from post position number 2 with Bill O'Donnell. Here we go.
And they're off. Flat Bait is away quickly, and there goes Pigvar now. He's sent up after the lead from the outside. Mark 6 comes away on the outside, racing in third. Torway at the rail now, racing in fourth. Prakas is now back in 5th. Workaholic racing in 6th, then it's Ron B. Hanover, followed by Somoli Star. Master Willie comes away racing in 9th position. And the trailer is nearly perfect as they move to the quarter. John Campbell puts Mark 6 in gear. 28-2 for the first quarter. Mark 6 now takes charge. Flackbait 2nd. And then it's Pigvar trotting in 3rd position. Torway on the inside is 4th. Here comes Prakas now, and he's making his move as they move up the backstretch. They continue up the backstretch. Mark 6 leads the way. Prakas 3rd, now 2nd. Prakas racing after the lead now. And Flackbait is back in 3rd position. Pigvar is 4th. Torway remains in 5th position. Ron B. Hanover gets underway on the outside. He's followed by Somoli Star. Then toward the rail, it's Workaholic. Master Willie is still racing in 9th position. Nearly perfect is the trailer. The half-mile time, a quick one. 56 4/5 seconds. And Prakas is in charge with 3/8 of a mile to go in the second heat of the Hambo. Here comes Ron B. Hanover now, surging, 2nd on the outside. And Mark 6 is now back in 3rd. Somoli Star is off the rail, and he's racing in 4th position. On the inside, Flackbait races in 5th. 3/4 in 1:25 2. And the field turns for home. It's Prakas on the rail with the lead by 1.5 lengths. Ron B. Hanover is trying to stay with him, but Prakas is turning it on. Prakas pouring it on inside the final 8. Bill O'Donnell goes to the whip. Prakas leads by 2.5 lengths. Ron B. Hanover takes to the inside. Flackbait is 3rd. Pigvar is 4th. Coming to the finish. Prakas is drifting out, but he's going to win it. Prakas is going to win the 1985 Hamiltonian, and he has done it in record time, 1:54 3.
1:54 3/5 of a second, the fastest Hamiltonian in history, and he did it in the second heat. A remarkable win for a remarkable trotter. Prakas wins the Hambo.
And Bill O'Donnell's first Hambletonian victory ever. He took the lead the middle of the back stretch, got a run, a charge from Ron B. Hanover, seemed to drift out a little in the stretch, but was able to hold on.
Prakas has one Achilles heel, but it didn't make any difference today. The Achilles heel being that he drifts out. Here is where he goes to the front, right here for Bill O'Donnell. He makes a bold move on the backstretch, the trotting version of Nihilator, as he roars down the backstretch for O'Donnell, and goes on by Flackbait right here, then picks up his stablemate. John Campbell and O'Donnell, of course, the two great leading drivers. They've won over 500 races here. And at this point, O'Donnell goes right by Campbell, who is driving Mark 6. Once in front, it was all Prakas, but the Achilles heel I was referring to is that he bears out in the stretch. And all the trainers and drivers know that, and coming through the stretch, you notice they went to the inside. The only problem is you can have room, but if you can't get up to him, it doesn't make any difference. But as usual, he bears out coming down through the lane. They try to go inside him, they just can't reach.
Well, as you said, this horse peaking for the Hamiltonian did it, winning the second division of the first heat and then holding on to win the second heat. And Prakas has won the Hamiltonian. Sharon, you were hoping for a record. We got a record, 1:54 3, a Hamiltonian record for Prakas. Fine, fine race by this wonderful colt.
Indeed it was, Sam. He took 2/5 off of the previous Hamiltonian record, which of course was set at DuQuoin, which is a very fast Midwestern track. Extremely impressive victory for this colt Prakas. He couldn't have done much better. Second heat time like that, David?
Well, you saw Bill O'Donnell make a carbon copy move of his move with Annihilator down the backstretch. It's what they do so often here at the Meadowlands. If you're going to be aggressive, if you're going to make your move, do it on the straightaway. Don't do it on the turn. Bill O'Donnell does it as good as anybody, if not the best.
I think he earned his percentage today, Bill did.
No question. In fact, that race has just sent the winning horse over $1 million. That's $1.2 million for that horse.
And that's hard for a trotter because obviously the richest races tend to be for pacers. But that is one very fine trotter. Prakas and a very happy Bill O'Donnell. Well, Bill O'Donnell never looks particularly happy. Hey, 1:49 3. He just set a Hamiltonian record. What? A day at the races for Bill O'Donnell. Prakas is the son of Speedy Crown, the great trotting stallion who himself won. His own sire, Speedy Scott, won. This is something that's kept in the family, this trophy for the Hambletonian. Prakas, the winner of the 1985 Hambletonian. It cost $47,000 as a yearling, and boy, somebody got a good buy on that colt with his breeding and with as what turned out to be his performance. He was a so-so 2-year-old and a great 3-year-old. Prakas the winner, paying $260, $210, and $210. Ron B. Hanover getting up for second with paying $480 and $410, and Pigbar third, $210. The exacta paying $14. You wouldn't get rich on that exacta, but Prakas, generous $260 to win on a horse of this quality. So Prakas, the winner of the 1985 Hamiltonian, and Bill O'Donnell, who is happy in spite of the way he looked waiting for the ceremonies in the winner's circle, wins his first ever Hambletonian, probably the first of many. We'll be back with more from Hambletonian Day at the Meadowlands after this. We're back at the Meadowlands, where the ceremonies are underway for the 1985 Hambletonian. Prakas the winner. Hans Engren bred this colt. He's out of Pennsylvania, and he went through a sale, sold for $47,000, but Hans thought enough of him to get a piece of him himself, and he now is the proud possessor of a Hambletonian trophy and a colt who's won more than $1,200,000, because today he added more than $600,000 to his career earnings. Prakas standing there politely like a good colt. He is the son of Speedy Crown's very good-natured horse, so it's safe to leave him there with the dozens and dozens of people that are joining in the winner's circle ceremonies. He's standing there calmly, probably wondering when he's going to get a drink of water and his bath. But he's going to have to wait a little bit for that, because he is the Hambletonian winner for 1985. So he joins a great list of Hambletonian winners, including his sire and grandsire and many of his other ancestors. So Prakas is the winner, and more than $600,000 first prize for his victory. Of course, this is $1 million race now. Second place is not bad, $318,000, and on down the line for the Hambletonian. $636,000 first prize for the Hambletonian. That all goes to Prakas and his owners, who are very, very proud people at this point. So Prakas has won. He's hasn't been worse than second in 1985, and he certainly wasn't worse than second today, wasn't worse than first. We're going to take another look at this second heat and what turned out to be the final heat for the Hambletonian, and what Prakas did and how he went about his victory. So David and Stan, why don't you talk about this race?
Well, it wasn't surprising, I don't think, that Bill O'Donnell didn't rush away from the gate. When you have supreme confidence and when you have a ton of horse, and when you know what's going to happen, which is what happens right here with Benny Webster going out very fast, there's no sense getting in an early speed duel. So O'Donnell was satisfied for position. Stanley Dancer makes a good move here to get up on the outside, and Campbell goes on, of course, with Mark 6. You weren't surprised at where Bill was, were you, David?
Not a bit, Stan. As you mentioned early on, the horse seemed to be backing off the gate a little bit earlier in the day. I think O'Donnell just respected his horse, gave him a chance to relax. Once the horse was in the race, he knew he was in a horse race. He knew what he had to do.
O'Donnell, one of the great traits and qualities of O'Donnell that makes him one of the supreme harness drivers of all time is he's never out of position. You hardly ever see Bill O'Donnell in a place where he shouldn't be, and conversely where he should be, which is in the front end. So he's going there right now, and he just turns this horse loose. O'Donnell said after driving this horse last week that he thought he was probably the most powerful trotter he's ever sat behind, and that includes the world champion Fancy Crown, who he drove last year.
You know, Stan, you said he turned him loose. It just looked like the horse took it all by himself without any urging whatsoever.
He's a very fluid-gaited horse, very light, airy-gaited horse. And Per Eriksson, who hasn't been mentioned here too much, the 24-year-old young Swedish boy who trains this horse, deserves a tremendous amount of credit. Eriksson came over as a groom with Team Nordin, with Soren Nordin and his son Jan, and graduated from the grooming ranks to his own. And while we're mentioning credits, we should mention young Terry Lindgren, the 22-year-old Danish girl who takes care of this horse. No good horse, no great horse can win without a good caretaker. Right, David?
No question about that, Stan. We specialize about that in our farm, and it's what makes a horse. Everybody thinks that a great drive and the moment of victory is where it's at, but...
Now, here you see him bearing out. This horse, when he comes through the lane, bears out. Not necessarily because he's tired, but because it's a racing habit. So O'Donnell looks back both ways. He knows he has the horse's beat on the inside. He wants to make sure there's no one on the outside coming. And Prakas does all that he is supposed to do, and does it in magnificent fashion, lowering the world record that was held jointly by Speedy Somali and Florida Pro, who set it in respective heats of the Hambletonian back in 1978 at DuQuoin, Illinois.
Prakas did not race in the Yonkers Trot, the first jewel of trotting's Triple Crown. That was won by Master Willie. There will be no Triple Crown winner this year. The last one was Super Bowl in 1972. We've got some more great harness racing coming up. It's the U.S. Pacing Championship with On the Road Again, the all-time money-winning leader. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Meadowlands, where Prakas is heading off to his well-deserved rest after winning the 1985 Hamiltonian. Prakas, undoubtedly the best North American three-year-old trotter at the moment, and a very, very impressive winner of the Hambletonian. And what a day for driver Bill O'Donnell. We're almost, but not quite getting tired of seeing him in the winner's circle. Kenny Rice is with Bill right now. Let's go to Kenny.
Darren, at times I feel like a member of the supporting cast of the Bill O'Donnell Show today. Congratulations, Bill. What does this mean in his career? Last year, over $9 million in winnings, and this is the Hamiltonian Championship.
Yeah, this is quite a thrill. This is one of the biggest thrills of my life.
With Prakas, you said he was fluid-gated. You were impressed by him. He bore out a little bit in the stretch today.
Yeah, he might be getting a little bit tired. You know, he didn't have everything his own way. That he, like the other one, you know, he was pressed hard the third quarter. And I chased him on early, you know, to keep his momentum going. He got a little tired finishing, but he got the job done.
He was able to go outside when he saw Romby Hanover was coming up on the side of you. He still goes outside a little bit, but you still win, and you do it in record time.
Well, I let him drift a little bit, which, you know, keeps him more comfortable, and he keeps him getting cramped up. So you know, he'll trot a little faster that way when he does it.
Are you surprised he was able to do it in straight heats?
Not really. Not if he, you know, if everything went his own way, which it did again, he got lucky. And he probably could go another heat, I guess, but just soon not. Two was plenty.
With this, with the record today of 49-3, it has been almost a career for some people. Just another day, huh?
Well, not really. No, it's a pretty exciting day. This is like the biggest day of harness racing, I think. The way they've done it up here, and a crowd of 40,000 people, it's really something.
And a lot of people say that about Bill O'Donnell. Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you very
Good seeing you. Congratulations to Bill O'Donnell, the man who drives Prakas to straight heat victories in this Hambletonian. Sharon?
Well, Kenny, someday we're going to have to teach Bill to look a little bit more excited when he says it's the biggest day of his life. But after all, one of the reasons he's so great is that he is calm everywhere in a race. And I guess you have to be calm in the winner's circle, too. But congratulations to Bill O'Donnell and Prakas, the winners of the 1985 Hambletonian. But we're not finished yet. The U.S. Pacing Championship is next. It's a free-for-all pace. The best older pacers, not just on the grounds, but from all over, really, the ones that are willing to challenge on the road again. We've got some good ones, Guts and George S., both of whom have beaten him before. So that is still ahead here on ESPN. The U.S. Pacing Championship on the road again might have to go 149-2 to out-impress Annihilator today. This is Guts. This is a horse with a real shot. Barry Abrams, the trainer. Bill O'Donnell, the driver. Boy, Bill is going to be awfully busy today as we look at Guts heading over towards the winner's circle right now. And there is the horse. Now, this is a horse who's been very consistent and certainly has faced on the road again with plenty of honor over the past 2 years. So he's going to take his place in post position. He comes out of the back paddock because apparently they feel that he doesn't handle the front paddock all that well. And here is the horse, the all-time leading money winner among North American standardbreds, the leading money-winning pacer of all time, with $2.2+ million to his credit. There is a French trotter whose figures are a little bit higher, but among the horses that we watch, he is it. Buddy Gilmore, the driver. And we're going to see if he can handle this group as he has before. George S., John Campbell, the driver, and, a trainer by the name of David Rovine. We'll see if George S. can do it. David promises not to jump off of the roof here if anything happens with this horse. That is George S. Number 4 is Silver Dollar. Now, this is a very, very consistent horse. He's won more than $400,000 in his career. He's won long-distance races. He's won the regular mile races. Lofty Bruce is the trainer. Walter Case Jr. is the driver of this horse. And Silver Dollar, a good, consistent free-for-all pacer. Number 5, another very good, consistent free-for-all pacer, Mr. Dalray, who's had periods of brilliance in his career, especially last year. He has won almost $1 million, and he certainly is a legitimate challenger to on the road again as well. And finally, Butler BG. This one is driven by Ted Wing and from Ted Wing's stable. And Butler BG, too, has earned $600,000. There isn't anybody in this race who's just to fill out the field against on the road again. That's quite a field that we're seeing in the U.S. Pacing Championship. Let's go down now to Sam and Stan.
Stan, we talked about Annihilator earlier. What about on the road again? Another great champion.
It's another great champion, and for a different reason. Not only, he may not go as fast as Annihilator, but he races everybody week in, week out, all year long. And like the horse that preceded him out of Canada and was also a great horse, Fella, starts early in the year and goes all year, every week hammering somebody. He made 26 starts last year, won 18 of them, and was 23 times first or second. And he's already made 16 starts this year and won 12 of them. And he has Buddy Gilmore, one of the great drivers. This interesting thing, not only a top field of horses here, Sam, but you have Bill O'Donnell and Buddy Gilmore, John Campbell, Walter Case Jr., one of the top young drivers in the sport, Joe Marsh Jr., a great veteran who won a world championship some years ago, and Ted Wing, another top star. This is professional stardom.
On the road again, the all-time leading money winner among pacers. Great year last year, and this year another fine year. 16 starts, 12 wins. Kenny Rice has a look at On the Road Again.
He has been an excellent blend of speed and endurance. 1984 Pacer of the Year on the road again. In his 3-year-old campaign, he won in excess of $1.7 million. And he did so in impressive fashion, facing challengers all over North America. He won in heat races, and he won on all size tracks. And in 1985, he is even stronger as a 4-year-old.
He's raced tough. He's raced Sprinter every week, I think, for the last 12 or 13 weeks, and he's come back every time. He's a little more mature this year, I think.
With that maturity, has it made it a little easier on you as far as training him?
Definitely. He trains a lot easier. He steps out and goes good miles when you want him to go. Last year, he was a little lazy and didn't really want to train that hard, so it was a little tougher.
On the Road Again and Guts have given the sport of harness racing one of its more interesting rivalries.
I think it's a great rivalry. Guts is beating On the Road Again. On the Road Again is beating Guts, and they'll continue this year, and hopefully Guts will beat him this week.
His plans now, looking down the road, is there any chance that you may be taking him to Springfield and trying to see how fast this incredible pacer can go?
I doubt if we'll take him to Springfield because we got a pretty tough schedule for the next month or 6 weeks, and we're trying to get him ready for the Breeders' Crowns, so chances are very slim that we'll go there.
Based on the way that he has continued to improve from his 3-year-old campaign into his 4-year-old campaign thus far, Harry, how good do you think your horse can be by the end of the season?
If he holds up, he should go a real good mile someday on a nice warm day, probably at Lexington.
Any ideas as how a good mile would be for him?
It's hard to say. I would say he'll go probably in 150. If we time trial him, maybe a touch better.
We're at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey, awaiting the start of the U.S. Pacing Championship. But just after the conclusion of the Hamiltonian, Kenny Rice has been down in the winner's circle. He's a winner all day, and he's with the winning trainer. Let's go to Kenny.
Thanks, Sam. I'm with Per Erickson. Congratulations. Prakas, impressive, winning it in straight heats. You said the straight heats victory did not surprise you very much.
No, like I said before, when like you raced last week in the mud here, I have a good feeling maybe if nothing happening in a race, he should be pretty hard to beat, I believe.
Last week doing the 57 and 2 in the mud impressed a lot of the bettors here today. He was a heavy favorite in both his races. What is the future now, Per, for this 3-year-old colt trotter? Are you going to take him out to Illinois maybe and see how fast he can go?
We maybe try to bring him to Springfield, yes, to see if we can get, of course, he have a good mark already right now, but maybe any better.
How fast do you think Prakas can go?
I believe between 52 and 53 at Springfield.
He looked impressive today, fluid the whole way?
Yeah, he looks real good to me, and Billy said he felt the right, so I think everything seems fine.
Okay, thank you very much, Per.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Per Erickson, the man who trained Prakas, winner today of the Hambletonian. We will be back with taking a look at the U.S. Pacing Championship and On the Road Again from the Meadowlands, so stay with us.
New Jersey, where we have seen Annihilator set an all-time standardbred race record. We have seen Prakas impressively win in straight heats the 1985 Hamiltonian, and we are about to see a free-for-all pace featuring the all-time leading money winner among standardbreds, but we're also going to see some other good pacers, including George S., who in fact has beaten On the Road Again, and fairly recently. His trainer David Rovine is not down in the paddock getting nervous, but rather up here with us. And does this horse have a shot? Tell me the truth, David.
Oh, I think he's got a good shot. George has been a great horse for us all year long. You know, we bought this horse last August as part of the Shady Stable 6 package. It's a limited partnership that owns 4 racehorses. George is just one of them. The horse cost $77,000 in public auction. And in 16 starts, he's gone on to earn $229,000. So everybody in Shady Stable 6 is very proud of George, including myself.
And what's more, he never gives you a bad day at the races. 16 starts, 13 wins, a second and 2/3, which means he's never out of the money.
That's right. He's a very, very consistent horse. We got him ready to race in January. The partnership's plan is to race January through December and then sell these horses at the end of the year. He dominated. He won his first 13 races in a row right here at the Meadowlands, a couple of them over at Yonkers and Roosevelt in the George Morton Levy Series. He's been a very, very tough racehorse.
9-1, and no, you can't rush down to the betting window, even though he is 9-1. You got to stay here. On the road again, the odds-on favorite with Guts, second choice at 7-2, with George S. coming in at 9-1. Kind of long odds on a horse that less than 2 months ago beat on the road again, wouldn't you say?
That's true, but I think people are concerned. He came in third the last couple of starts over in New York in the Levy, and I guess they want to see what's going to happen over at the Meadowlands again.
On the other hand, those are half-mile tracks. Does perhaps he not like a half-mile track?
It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. George gets around a half-mile track as easily as he gets around a mile track. He's been a good horse for us all year long on any size racetrack. We took him down to Brandywine. He won there in 55-4, which is a 5/8 mile track. So he's won on all 3 different size tracks so far.
Of course, once you get to these free-for-all pacers aged 4 and 5 and so on, they really can't be too choosy about their tracks, can they?
Well, you race where the money is. That's always been a big complaint with a lot of people. On one hand, the sport says race these horses a little bit longer. Let's see these stars dominate. But on the other, they're not offering top purses. So understandably, a lot of these fellows who have these great 3-year-olds turn them out or send them to the breeding shed.
I think we've seen a very, very happy trend in the last couple of years. We saw Camfella go on at 4, and now we've seen On the Road Again and Guts go on at 4, and Fancy Crown, although she's not done quite so well this year. And it's a very positive thing that we're getting to see these horses a little bit longer.
I think so. That's what brings people to the racetrack, a horse that they can recognize. The Breeders' Crown is a great step in the right direction, offering a nice big fat purse for age horses, and we're looking forward to participating.
And of course that starts in September here on ESPN with aged races this year for the first time, and that is a very important thing. Probably kept several of these horses in training. Well, this is the U.S. Pacing Championship, actually the second leg. It goes to different tracks. Free-for-all pacers. These are the best older pacers I think you would find just about anywhere right now. On the road again, Mr. Moneybags and 2 challengers, Guts and George S., who've faced him before. They are lining up behind the gate. These are professionals. We shouldn't expect to see any trouble with them. These horses have raced a lot. As they pass the 7/8 pole, let's send it to Tom Durkin with the call.
In behind the gate for the U.S. Pacing Championship. Of course, the big fave here is On the Road Again. Here they come. But some late money shows on Guts. See what happens at field of 6. And they're off. Butler BG is out first. George S. toward the inside. Guts comes away racing third. On the road again, he's 4th early. On the outside, it's Mr. Dalray. And Silver Dollar is the trailer as the field moves round the first turn. It's Butler BG leading the pack, and George S. in the pocket. 3 lengths back to Guts. On the road again. Now unhurried and racing in 4th position, followed by Mr. Dalray and Silver Dollar. It's Butler BG to the quarter in an even 28 seconds. Into the backstretch. Butler BG leads the way. George S. second. Here comes On the Road Again. He's on the move. Buddy Gilmore puts On the Road Again in the 3rd spot. And Guts at the rail races in 4th with Mr. Dalray and Silver Dollar as they continue up the backstretch. Butler BG holding on to the lead. George S. racing 2nd and On the Road Again now racing in 3rd position. And there he goes again. He's on the move on the outside. 55-4.5. The field moves into the far turn. Butler BG leads the way. On the Road Again is right there. Mr. Dalray following On the Road Again. George S. toward the inside racing in 4th position. And Guts, he's 5 lengths off the lead. Around the final turn. On the Road Again. With Buddy Gilmore at the lines, they lead by 3/4 of a length. Here comes Mr. Dalray with a stiff challenge on the outside. And they hit 3/4 and 1, 23-3 at the top of the stretch. On the Road Again, cuts the corner and holds on to the lead. Mr. Dalray now 2nd on the outside. Butler BG toward the inside, then farther back, George S. Guts comes on from the far outside. Gilmore goes to the whip. On the Road Again, leads by 2.5 lengths. Butler BG 2nd, Guts far outside. They're coming to the finish. On the Road Again, he has done it again. This time in 1:51.4. A super performance by a super pacer. On the Road Again.
again. We have seen champions today. A fine race. Going to the lead on the far turn and getting a challenge from Mr. Dalray, and then Buddy Gilmore went to the whip and he ran away from the field.
And that's what characterizes this horse, Sam. He takes challenges from everybody and brushes them off. This is a super pacer, and he has a great driver in the bike in one of the all-time veteran stars, Buddy Gilmore.
Here's the move on the far turn.
Takes George S. there. Moves up here to Butler BG, who set the early pace. Now he gets to the front, but Buddy can't rest him because coming right behind him is Mr. Dalray, who incidentally was making his 5th straight performance here on Meadowlands Day, on Hamiltonian Day here at the Meadowlands. Mr. Dalray coming on the outside moves right up to challenge him.
So the champions have done it. Annihilator, Prakas winning the Hambletonian. How do you think on the road again Annihilator would do against each other?
I think it would be an extremely interesting race, despite the differential in time. This is a year-older horse, and this horse has a heart as big as the grandstand here. It would be a tremendous contest.
I think we're going to see a lot of people pushing for that. There is on the road again the all-time leading money winner. Across the finish line, a winner once more, and a good race by Butler BG.
Very good. Held on gamely there and was about 2.5 lengths off, with Guts finishing 3rd and George S. 4th.
On the road again, 151 and 4, place to Butler BG. Guts up to take 3rd in the U.S. Pacing Championship. We'll be back at the Meadowlands in just a moment.
We're back at the Meadowlands, where we have seen the richest pacer of all time on the road again add to his bankroll. He's not known as a speed horse, but he has the track record for 4-year-old stallions now after his 151 and 4. In fact, it tied the aged horse record set by Genghis Khan last year, in fact, or a couple of years ago. So he's a couple of seconds slower than Annihilator, but he won so impressively, David, that I'm not sure that we can say that he's necessarily an inferior horse to Annihilator.
He's not an inferior horse to anybody. He's one of the most impressive racehorses I've ever seen. We raced against him in the World Cup, which is a series of 3 different races at 3 different distances, a mile, 1.25 miles, 1.8 miles, and he dominated. This is a top open pacer, and what's amazing, if you'll take a good look at him, he's not a very big horse, but he's clean going, good gaited, and all heart. He's a great little racehorse.
It's so far we hear that these 2 horses are not likely to meet Annihilator and on the road again, but I'm sure a lot of people would like it. You know, they would look at the time and think that Annihilator could do it, but it is a question, because after all, they race other horses. They don't know about the clock themselves.
That's right. Absolutely. You know, you're dealing with one's a 3-year-old, the other's a 4-year-old. I'm sure it would spur a lot of fan interest, but I don't know whether they ever will meet.
Well, in a way, it would be kind of a pity if they don't, but on the other hand, we can both enjoy them. They'll certainly have a battle for Horse of the Year honors or Pacer of the Year honors. It would have to be a toss-up, really, at this point. 260, 210, and 210. If you bet on the road again, Butler BG paying 280 and 210. Guts paying $2.10. So on the road again, winner of the 2nd leg of this U.S. Pacing Championship. It's been a big day at the Meadowlands. We're going to take a short time out, and then we'll be back with some more. Welcome back to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, where we've had almost an ideal day of harness racing. We saw what we were supposed to, an impressive winner in straight heats of the Hambletonian. Annihilator setting an all-time race record on the road again, doing what he always does, it seems like this summer, is winning races and winning them with great power and just great style. He's a magnificent horse, as is Annihilator, as is Prakas. Now, what happened in terms of the Hambletonian is 2 divisions of heat number 1. Again, the rules are that 5 horses qualify from each, and then if one wins twice, he is the Hambletonian winner. Division 1, a bit of a surprise here, David.
Absolutely. Here's a great move by Howard Beisinger. It looks like that Jan Nordine is going to walk away with it. Then all of a sudden it looks like Campbell's coming on the outside. Beisinger's been sitting on the rail waiting for his spot. And here it is. Right now, he only has the room to get his horse through, and finally gets his bike through.
And he gets through, and although he isn't pulling away at the finish, he was an impressive winner of that heat, or that division rather, and that surprised a lot of people because Torway was a long shot. He was about 35-1. The time was certainly excellent, 1:55.2, which was a track record at the time. Didn't last long, but it was a track record, and just 2/5 off the Hamiltonian record set at DuQuoin. Then the second division, and this one went according to form. Prakas, an impressive victor here.
Again, O'Donnell just doing what he does best, riding, pointing the horse in the right direction, and then sitting back and letting the horse do the work for him.
And a super stride on this colt, and he impressed even more people with this, and 55-1, yet another track record. And if that wasn't good enough, why then they had Division 2, or Heat 2 of the Hamiltonian for 1985. And there he goes.
Out in the middle of the track, on his own. He drifts out a little bit, but it's really of no consequence.
He, in fact, did not look all that much like a tired horse. Maybe he drifts out of habit rather than tiredness, and caused no trouble, including to himself, and was the winner of the 1985 Hamiltonian. So Prakas, a very impressive victor, and joins a long list of his relatives who have won this race and made Bill O'Donnell a very happy person